Hey friends, it's Lauren Taylor. Thanks for joining me in my craft room today. I actually have two videos today. So this is the card assembly video, and I also have a color and chat video coloring in a couple of these images that you're going to see on today's card. So I'm going to jump right into this brand new release from Scrappy Tails Crafts. I was gifted a few products to play with for this new Halloween release. So I have some beautiful different embellishments. I'm going to use that orange, black, and white one today, the Toil and Trouble embellishment mix. So I'm going to open up this cute packaging. I love when things are tied up. I think it's just so fun. There's this amazing 6 by 8.5 cute Halloween pattern paper, and I'm going to just walk you through these images. And while I'm doing that, I wanted to talk about this release from Scrappy Tails. So this is the Halloween party release, and there are so many amazing new products in this collection. I have a lot of what is in the cute Halloween party card kit, plus a few extra little things. But I just really love cutesy Halloween. I mean, I like spooky too, but I love cutesy Halloween. So I just was really excited to get products from from this little collection, or this product family of the big collection. And what's really cool about this release is that there are a lot of items to make Halloween party invitations, which I think is so cool because you don't really see a lot of Halloween invitations out there. And if you're anything like me, where Halloween is your favorite holiday, this is a great product to have in your stash. And there's going to be a lot of amazing inspiration today. There's an Instagram hop, which I'll have linked down below. So you can see different ways to use all of the new products from this recent release from Scrappy Tails. This is the cute Halloween party stamp and the coordinating dies. I also have the perfect Halloween night dies here on the left, and the A7 vertical stripe ghost cover plate dies that were on the right. And then I think probably my favorite thing from this new release is the cute Halloween 5-layer stencil set. So that was everything. So we're going to jump right into stenciling because that is going to need the longest time to dry. And the goal for this card is to show you not only how cute the cute Halloween party stamp set is for invitations, but also how you can use it for something that's not an invitation. So you don't feel limited to, just party invitations with this set. You can use it for other types of Halloween cards. So I've trimmed down a piece of paper to match the 6 by 8 size of this stencil. And I'm starting with actually the second layer. So this is stencil number 2. And I'm using yellow distress ink in mustard seed and just using a blending brush to put that through the stencil. And as you can see, it colored in the moons and the bottom third of all of the candy corns. I love that these stencils, you can color them by color, if that makes sense. I don't have to mix up the colors to make sure I get the moons and the yellow part of the candy corn yellow, if that makes sense. So then I replaced the next stencil, number 3, and I did purple stars and then little dots. Stencil 4 was orange, so it's the pumpkins and the orange parts of the candy corns and a few more stars. And stencil number 5, I did do 2 different colors. I did a lot of black, and then I went in with brown to color in the tops of my pumpkins. Now I'm bringing back stencil 1, which is the white part, I guess you could say, of the stencil. So it's the ghosts and the top parts of the candy corns. And the reason why I did this last is because I'm going to be using a stencil paste. So I have the first stencil here already on top of my background, and I'm using some fairy dust stencil paste from Lawn Fawn, and I'm covering up all of those openings, so all of the cute little ghosts and the tops of, well, it's not just the tops, it's the whole candy corn. So this is really cool because it will have the glitter paste as the white part, but also the whole candy corn. And I love it. I absolutely love how this background turned out. It is so cool. And like I said, it was so easy. I didn't have to worry about, masking too much. I think I went above and beyond with the pumpkins. You definitely could have just done black ink, but I love how this turned out. If you get anything from this release, I recommend the stencils. So cool. So now we're going to move on to stamping, and I'm actually going to go ahead and fast forward to this part, and I will leave a little link here for the color in chat video where you can see how I color in two of these images. I'm doing the cat and the pumpkin and then the ghost with the cute little witch hat, because those are the two images that make it to the front of my card. So you can watch that video later. I use Ohuhu art markers for my coloring, so if you don't use those markers, then no worries, you don't need to watch that video. But if you'd like to see how I colored in those images, you can watch that video next. So I went ahead and used all the coordinating dies to cut out all of my images, and then I'm also going to add a little bit of white gel highlights, but I'm going to fast forward to this part because again, you can see that in my color in chat video. Once I'm all done adding in the little details to these images, I'm going to set that aside. And the next part that I'm going to be working on is cleaning up my desk, but I'm going to be doing my die cutting. So off camera, I cut a bunch of these cute little bats out of some black sparkly cardstock, and it coordinates so well. I just love when I have a collection of something where the dies, stamps, and paper all just coordinate. That makes me happy. And while I finished die cutting my bats, I also wanted to die cut my background now that it was dry. So I'm using those two die sets that I mentioned earlier. One of them is the vertical stripe ghost cover plate dies, and then the cute Halloween party coordinating dies. And there are two different sizes of those really cool label design die cut. And then I'm also getting out my sentiment and its coordinating die. This is from, again, the cute Halloween party stamp set. And I'm going to do some masking when I do my stamping, so you'll see that in a bit here. And I'm going to grab a sheet from the cute Halloween party pattern paper. And I went with this dark gray and black stars background because my stenciled background is pretty wild and I wanted something that complemented it and not, was too contrasting to the background. So I really like this kind of more matte look. Nothing really popping off, I guess I should say, off of that pattern paper just for this card. I'm also grabbing an A2 die in my stash so I can cut out my background where I want it, and then I'm using the smaller label and I'm going to die cut that out of the center. And I'm going to use both of these pieces on my card today. So the smaller label will fit onto the pattern paper label, and that will cover the hole that I made when I die cut my stenciled background. I'm playing around with my layout. It's going to change a little bit before I'm done, but just want to see what images I wanted on the front of my card. And now that I have kind of an idea of the layout and where I want my sentiment to go, I'm going to go ahead and work on that next. I'm going to be using some black cardstock and I'm going to emboss in white. And I found that with this cardstock and white embossing, or really any embossing powder, if I die cut second, sometimes my embossed powder gets kind of gross, if that makes sense. I think it's just the pressure from my die cut machine on this type of paper. So I do my die cutting first and then my stamping. So I just did a partial die cut because again, I just want the Hey Boo sentiment from this stamp set. And I am lining it up inside my MISTI and I'm adding my anti-static powder. And I'm using some embossing ink, but like I said, I'm going to be masking. So I'm masking the bottom part of this stamp where it has like the party invitation information. Just using some repositionable mint tape to kind of block that area while I ink up the Hey Boo. And remember to take the masking paper away before you stamp it. And luckily it does pretty good on the first stamp, but I did realize I put my stamp a little too close to the top, but that's okay. I'm going to fussy cut it anyway, so it's really not a big deal. So once I have my my sentiment stamped on that black cardstock, I'm going to grab my white embossing powder and just completely cover that Hey Boo sentiment, and then I will use my heat gun to melt that embossing powder down. Once it's cooled down and the embossing powder feels, like I said, cool to the touch, I can go ahead and start fussy cutting. So I'm just using some small scissors here to cut around the sentiment, trying to maintain the same distance to where it die cut on the top half. And now we can start assembling this card together. So I have an A2 card base, and I'm going to start with adhering the background. So this is kind of the negative space, if you want to say, of the die cut that I did earlier with that cool panel. And I'm going to, or label, I should say, label die. And I'm going to line this up to the fold side of my base and go ahead and lay that down. I do that so if I didn't get it perfectly straight, I can trim off any of that white card base that's showing off the sides or the bottom. Next, I'm going to adhere the die cut label from my stenciled background. I added some sturdy tape, but I'm also going to use a little bit of liquid glue so I have a second to get it centered onto that pattern paper die cut label. So you can see here why I went with more of a subtle background and not a super crazy one like this candy corn backside. Again, love all the patterns, but because my stenciled pattern is so busy, I wanted something a little more subtle. Then I'm going to use my grid mat to line that up and make sure it's centered. And I'm sorry for the lighting change, but I started working when it was light outside and then dusk came, so I needed to close the blinds and turn on the lights. I'm adding my images now, so I'm starting with that cute little spider web in the top left-hand corner, and this adorable little black cat in the pumpkin is going to be the bottom centered, but I want to make sure that I knew where it was going so I can add my sentiment. I'm adding some foam adhesive behind the sentiment, peeled off the release paper, and that Hey Boo is going to overlap that spider web a bit. I'm also going to pop up my cat, so just adding foam adhesive all on the back side, pulling off the release paper, and then like I said, it's going towards the bottom of these labels in the center, and again, just using the grid on my glass mat to try to get that as centered as possible. I settle on just one ghost because I really love my stenciled background and I didn't want to cover it any more than I had to. So my favorite ghost of the three is this cute little one that I colored with a purple witch's hat to match the purple in the stenciled background. So I'm just going to go with those images on my card. I use about 5, I'm counting on my card right now. Yes, 5 of these sparkle bats. I'm just kind of placing them where I think they'll look nice, adding a little bit of glue and then sticking it to the card. So once I get all 5 in place, it adds just a little bit more shine. There's a lot of shine because of those ghosts and candy corn, but I like the pop of the black glitter along with that translucent glitter. The other 2 ghosts shall not go to waste. I'm going to glue them on the inside of my card, just on the lower right, so I still have room to stamp a sentiment if I remember to do so, or write something on the inside, which is probably what's going to happen. I'm terrible at adding things on the inside of my cards. So that's done, but of course we need to add some of this embellishment mix rhinestone bling. Again, this is the Toil and Trouble mix. It is a black, white, and orange mix, but I'm just going to use the black and the white rhinestones. Once I get enough on the background, I think I ended up doing 5 white ones and 3 black ones. Just again, sporadically around the card. I wanted it to look like it was just more confetti in that stenciled background. I use a jewel picker to pick up the rhinestone and then add my liquid adhesive in place. Here's a close-up look of how this amazing Halloween card turned out. Again, absolutely love this brand new Halloween party collection, especially the cute Halloween party products. I will have everything linked down below, and again, like I said, it's an Instagram hop today, so I will have that linked in my description so you can head over there, as well as if you want to watch my coloring video, I will put that in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you love this collection as much as I do, and happy shopping! Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!